$14.67. The formula cost $18.99. Lily's daughter screamed 11 months old, 102-degree fever, 8 hours without food. The cashier said, "Pay or get out, there's a line." Lily's vision blurred. This was it. Rock bottom. She reached for the formula to put it back. Her hands shook so hard the can slipped and hit the floor. Then the pharmacy doors crashed open. 5 Hell's Angels. The biggest one had fists like hammers and eyes like an open grave. He looked at Emma. Something in him broke. He pulled out his wallet. Whatever she needs, all of it, and huffed. Now. Subscribe to my channel and stay with me until the very end of the story. Comment below, tell me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this journey takes us. Now back to Lily. $14.67. Lily counted it again. Quarters, dimes, nickels, a few pennies she'd scraped from the bottom of her purse. 14.67. The formula cost $18.99. Emma's scream bounced off the pharmacy walls. 11 months old, 102-degree fever. 8 hours since her last bottle because Lily had run out of formula that morning and couldn't leave work early without losing the shift. "Ma'am," the cashier didn't hide her irritation. "There are people waiting." Lily looked up. Blonde hair, heavy makeup, eyes that said she'd seen 1,000 broke mothers and didn't care about number 1001. "I know. You're 432 short." She said it loud. Loud enough for the businessman behind Lily to huff. Loud enough for the woman with the full cart to shake her head. Loud enough for everyone in the pharmacy to know that Lily Dawson couldn't afford to feed her baby. Emma screamed louder. "Please." Lily hated the word, hated begging, but her daughter was sick and hungry and she had nothing left. "She's got a fever. I'll bring the rest tomorrow. I get paid tomorrow morning, I swear." "Do I look like a bank?" The cashier crossed her arms. "Pay the full amount or step aside." The businessman checked his watch. The woman with the cart muttered something under her breath, and Lily stood there, broken, holding a can of formula she couldn't buy, while her baby screamed for food she couldn't give. Her hand reached for the formula, to put it back, to walk out empty-handed, to figure out something, anything like she always did. Then the doors opened. Not opened, slammed. 5 men walked in. Leather jackets, heavy boots, patches on their backs that read Hell's Angels in bold white letters. They moved like they owned the air they breathed. The cashier's face went white. The businessman practically ran for the exit. The woman with the cart suddenly remembered she'd left something in her car. Lily grabbed Emma's stroller and pulled it close. In foster care, she'd learned to recognize danger. Men like this meant trouble. Men like this meant pain. Don't look at them. Don't make eye contact. Just get out. She reached for the formula one more time. "Leave it." The voice came from above her. Deep gravel and smoke. Lily looked up. The man was huge, 6'4" at least. Shoulders that blocked out the fluorescent lights. Gray-streaked beard, hands the size of dinner plates. His jacket said VP, Vice President. His face said he'd seen things that would keep normal people awake for years. But his eyes were locked on Emma. Not threatening, not predatory, broken. "How much is she short?" he asked the cashier without looking away from the baby. "Sir, I asked you a question." The cashier swallowed. 432. The man pulled out his wallet, dropped 100 on the counter. "Ring up everything she's got. Add the fever medicine behind you. The good kind, not the generic crap. And whatever diapers you've got in size 3. "Sir," did I stutter? The cashier grabbed the item so fast she nearly knocked over the register. Lily couldn't move. "I can't let you do this," she said. "Already doing it. I don't even know you. Name's Mason. Now you do." He still hadn't looked away from Emma. "How old? What, your girl? How old is she?" 11 months. Something flashed across Mason's face. Pain. Raw and fresh like the wound had never healed. "She's beautiful," he said quietly. "Looks just like..." He stopped, cleared his throat, looked away. 67.43, the cashier announced. "Would you like a bomb, Mom? Give her 2 bags and throw in some food from aisle 3. Crackers, juice, whatever looks like she might eat it." "I don't need," Lily started. "When's the last time you ate?" The question hit her like a slap. "I'm fine." That's not what I asked. Mason's eyes found hers. You're shaking, you're pale, your lips are cracked from dehydration. So I'll ask again, when's the last time you ate? Lily couldn't remember. Yesterday? The day before she'd given her last package of crackers to Mrs. Patterson, the elderly neighbor who watched Emma when Lily worked doubles. It doesn't matter, she said. It matters. Mason took the bags from the cashier and held them out. She needs you healthy. Can't take care of her if you collapse. Lily stared at the peas. Formula, medicine, diapers, food. More than she'd been able to buy in weeks. From a stranger, a biker. A man covered in patches and tattoos who looked like he could crush her skull with one hand. Why? She whispered. Mason didn't answer right away. He looked at Emma again, really looked, and Lily saw his jaw tighten, saw his hands clench at his sides. Because nobody helped when it mattered, he finally said, and I swore I'd never let that happen again. The parking lot was cold. December air bit through Lily's thin jacket as she pushed Emma's stroller toward her car. If you could call it a car. The '98 Civic had been blue once. Now it was mostly rust and prayer. The back bumper hung on with bungee cords. The passenger window was plastic sheeting and duct tape. The engine made sounds that belonged in a horror movie. But it ran, most of the time. This is what you're driving, Lily turned. Mason had followed her out, all 5 bikers had. It works, she said defensively. In December, one of the younger bikers' neck tattoos, shaved head, walked around the car like he was examining a crime scene. With a baby, it has heat. Does it? Lily didn't answer. The heat had stopped working 2 weeks ago. She kept blankets in the back seat for Emma. Mason crouched down and looked under the car. His face darkened. You've got an oil leak. Bad one. When's the last time you checked the fluids? I don't. The tires are bald. Brake pads are probably gone. And I'm guessing that engine knocks like hell when you start it. It gets us where we need to go. For now, Mason stood up, wiped his hands on his jeans. Another week, maybe 2, and this thing dies on the highway with your baby in the back seat. That what you want? Lily's throat tightened. She knew the car was dying. She'd known for months. But mechanics cost money, and money was something she didn't have. I'll figure it out, she said. You'll figure it out. Mason repeated the words like they tasted bad. That what you tell yourself when things fall apart? That you'll figure it out. It's worked so far. Has it? He gestured at the car, at her worn shoes, at the pharmacy they just left. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're drowning, and you're too proud to ask for a hand. Lily's eyes stung. Don't cry. Don't you dare cry. I don't need charity. Good, because I'm not offering charity. Mason pulled a card from his jacket. Plain white, black letters, just a name and a number. I'm offering help. There's a difference. Lily looked at the card but didn't take it. What's the catch? No catch. There's always a catch. She'd learned that lesson young, in foster homes where kindness came with conditions, in relationships where love meant control. Nobody gives something for nothing. Mason studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. You're right, he said. There is something I want. Lily's stomach dropped. Here it comes. I want you to call me tomorrow. Let me fix this car so your daughter doesn't freeze to death in the back seat. And maybe let yourself trust that not everyone's out to hurt you. He held out the card again. That's it. That's the catch. Lily's hand trembled as she took it. Mason Cole, 535-347-8821. Why do you care? She asked. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. Mason stepped back. I know you're working yourself to death, trying to keep that baby fed. I know you're one bad week away from losing everything. And I know that look in your eyes. What look? The one that says you've been alone so long, you forgot what help looks like. Lily couldn't breathe. Get in the car, Mason said. Bear's going to follow you home. Make sure you get there safe. Tomorrow morning you call me. We'll figure out the rest. And if I don't call, Mason almost smiled. Almost. Then I'll find you anyway. That car's hard to miss. Cher. The apartment was freezing when Lily carried Emma inside. She'd turned off the heat 2 weeks ago. Couldn't afford it. The oven stayed on when she was home, door cracked open, pumping warm air into the tiny kitchen. It wasn't safe. She knew it wasn't safe. but it was better than watching her baby shiver. Emma's fever had dropped by the time Lily got the medicine in her. Small victories, the only kind Lily ever got. She made a bottle with the new formula and held Emma close while she ate. The baby's eyes drooped, fighting sleep, fighting sickness, fighting everything. "I'm sorry," Lily whispered. "I'm so sorry, baby. Mama's trying. I promise I'm trying." Emma finished the bottle and finally slept. Lily put her in the crib, second hand wobbling, held together with zip ties, and collapsed onto the mattress on the floor. She should eat. The crackers Mason bought were in the bag by the door. Her stomach ached with emptiness, but her body wouldn't move. Her eyes wouldn't stay open. She fell asleep with Mason's card still clutched in her hand. The nightmare came at 3 a.m. Derek's face, his perfect smile, his hands around her throat. "You think you can hide from me? You think you can take my daughter?" Lily woke up gasping. Emma was crying. She stumbled to the crib, heart pounding, hands shaking. Checked the baby's temperature. Normal. Changed her diaper. Made another bottle. 3:47 a.m. She had to be at work by 6. 3 hours of sleep, if she was lucky. This is my life, she thought. This is what survival looks like. Emma fell back asleep. Lily didn't. The truck stop diner smelled like grease and diesel fuel. Lily moved between tables on autopilot. Coffee here, eggs there. Smile at the trucker who left a decent tip. Ignore the one whose eyes lingered too long. Emma was in the back office, sleeping in her car seat. Doris, the manager, had agreed to let Lily bring her on days when she couldn't find childcare, which was every day. Mrs. Patterson had helped before, but she was 83 and her arthritis was getting worse. "I love that baby," she had told Lily last week, "but I can't keep up with her anymore." "I'm sorry, honey." Sorry. Everyone was always sorry. "Order up." The cook slammed the bell. Lily grabbed the plates. Table 4, bacon and eggs. Table 9, pancakes, extra syrup. She was heading back to the counter when Doris grabbed her arm. "Someone's asking for you." Lily's blood went cold. She knew before she turned around. She knew the way you know a storm is coming before the first drop of rain. Derek sat in the coroner booth. Clean shave, expensive suit, perfect smile that had fooled her once back when she was young and stupid and desperate for someone to love her. "Hey, baby." He said it loud enough for the whole diner to hear. "Surprised to see me?" Lily's legs locked. Move. Run. Get Emma and go. But she couldn't. Her body remembered. The bruises, the broken ribs, the night she'd prayed for death because it would be easier than this. "What do you want?" Her voice came out flat, dead. "I want to see my daughter." "She's not your daughter." "Birth certificate says different." Derek's smile widened. "I've been thinking, Lily, about us, about our family. I made mistakes, I know I did, but I've changed." "You don't change. People grow." He spread his hands. "I've got a good job now, nice apartment. I've been going to therapy, working on myself. The judge is going to love that." Lily's stomach dropped. "What judge?" Derek pulled an envelope from his jacket, slid it across the table. "Custody hearing, 3 weeks from Thursday. I'm suing for full custody of Emma." The words hit her like a bullet. "You can't do that." "Already did." Derek leaned back, casual, confident. "You know what a judge sees when he looks at you, a waitress, no education, no family, living in a shithole apartment with a space heater and a mattress on the floor." "How do you know where I know everything, Lily." His smile turned cold. "I know you work double shifts and still can't afford formula. I know your car is held together with tape. I know that old woman who watched Emma can barely walk anymore." Lily's hands shook. "I also know about Westbrook." The name hit her like ice water. Westbrook, the group home where she'd spent 2 years. The incident that had almost landed her in juvenile detention. The file that was supposed to be sealed. "That's sealed," she whispered. "Welding is sealed when you know the right people." Derek stood up, dropped a 50 on the table. "I'm giving you a choice, Lily. Come back to me willingly and we can be a family again. Fight me in court and I'll destroy you." He straightened his tie. 3 weeks, baby. Think about it." He walked out. Lily stood frozen, holding the custody papers, watching her entire world collapse. Sorry. She made it to the bathroom before she shattered. The sobs came hard and violent. her whole body shaking against the cold tile wall. She bit her fist to muffle the sounds. Derek found her. 3 states, different name on the mailbox, cash only for everything. And he still found her. Of course he did. Derek always found her. Derek always won. She pulled out her phone with trembling hands. Who could she call? She had no family. Her mother had overdosed when she was 6. Her father was a blank space on a birth certificate. The foster system had taught her one lesson. You're on your own, a lawyer. She needed a lawyer. But lawyers cost money, money she didn't have. She thought about the women's shelter across town. They had legal aid, but the shelter meant giving up the apartment, meant starting over again, meant the card. It was still in her pocket. She grabbed it this morning without thinking. Mason Cole, 555-347-8821. Don't do it. You don't know him. He's a stranger. A biker. For all you know, he's worse than Derek. But Derek wanted to take Emma. Derek wanted to put her baby in that house with those people in that life. Lily dialed. It rang once. Yeah, it's Lily from the pharmacy from last night. Silence. Then Mason's voice shifted. Softer. The baby okay? She's fine, but something happened. My ex showed up. He's suing for custody, and I don't have money for a lawyer, and he knows people, and her voice cracked. Where are you? The truck stop diner off Highway 12. I'm 20 minutes out. Don't move. The line went dead. Lily stared at the phone. What did I just do? 18 minutes later, the motorcycles arrived. Lily watched through the window as 5 Harleys pulled into the lot. Mason in front, the others behind him like soldiers following a general. They walked through the door and the entire diner went silent. Mason crossed the room in 4 steps. His eyes scanned her face, reading the tear tracks, the red eyes, the terror she couldn't hide. Where is he gone? He left an hour ago. The papers, Lily handed them over. Watched Mason's face harden as he read. Watched his jaw clench. Watched his hands tighten until the paper crinkled. This is bullshit, he said. Half of this is fabricated. It doesn't matter. He has money, lawyers, connections. Lily's voice broke. I have nothing. You have us. Bear stepped forward. President Patch, gray beard, eyes that had seen everything and judged nothing. Iron called us on the way here, Bear said. Told us the situation. This girl's under our protection now, another biker added. Her and the baby. I'm not. You are. Oh, I'm. Mason handed the papers back to her. That man thinks he can use money and lawyers and fear to take your daughter. He's about to learn different. Lily's legs buckled. Mason caught her. Hey, his voice dropped. Gentle now. Hey, look at me. She looked up, met his eyes, saw something there she didn't recognize. You're not alone anymore, he said. You understand me? Whatever it takes, whatever we have to do, that man is never going to touch your daughter. You can't promise that. Watch me. They moved her that night, not to a shelter, not to a motel, to a small apartment above the Hells Angels clubhouse. Clean, warm, safe. It's not fancy, Mason said, setting down the last box. But nobody gets up here without going through us first. Emma was already asleep in the corner. Maria Bear's wife had bundled her in blankets and sung her down while the men carried boxes. I'll pay rent, Lily said, as soon as I can. We'll figure that out later. I mean it. I'm not a charity case. Never said you were. Mason walked to the window, looked out at the parking lot full of motorcycles. You remind me of someone. Who? For a long moment, he didn't answer. My daughter, Rachel. She was 23 when she died. Lily's breath caught. She had a baby, Sophie, 11 months old. His voice cracked. Same age as Emma. What happened? Drunk driver, red light, killed them both. Mason's hands gripped the windowsill. I was supposed to pick them up that day. I was running late. If I'd been there, it wasn't your fault. Doesn't matter. He turned to face her. His eyes were wet. I couldn't save them. I spent 3 years wishing I could change it. Drinking, fighting, trying to die without having the guts to do it myself. Mason. But then I saw you in that pharmacy, counting coins, crying, fighting for your baby with everything you had. He crossed the room. stopped in front of her. And I thought maybe this is why I'm still here. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I can't replace your daughter. You're not replacing her. His voice broke. You're giving me a reason to be the man she always believed I was. Let me help you. Please, well. Lily stood there 23 years old, exhausted, terrified, holding together by threads. She'd never trusted anyone in her life, but she trusted him. Okay, she whispered. Mason nodded, just wait once. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we find you a lawyer. He walked toward the door. Mason. He stopped. Thank you. He didn't turn around. Don't thank me yet. We've got a long fight ahead. Across town in a high-rise apartment worth more than Lily would make in 10 lifetimes, Derek Marshall poured himself a scotch. His phone buzzed. Status. She's gone. The voice on the other end was calm, professional. Moved out of the apartment 2 hours ago. Took the baby. Where, Hell's Angels Clubhouse, North Side. Derek smiled. Interesting. She found herself some muscle. You want me to back off? Derek swirled his scotch. Watch the light play through the amber liquid. No, I want you to dig. Every member of that club, every business they run, every skeleton in every closet. That's going to cost extra. Money isn't a problem. Derek drained his glass. Find me something I can use. Something that'll put every one of those bikers in prison. And if I can't, Derek set down the glass, then find something else. I don't care what. By the time I'm done, Lily Sullivan is going to wish she'd never been born. He ended the call, walked to the window, looked out at the city lights below. Run all you want, baby, he whispered. You're still mine. 3 days passed. Lily woke each morning expecting the other shoe to drop, expecting Mason to change his mind, expecting the kindness to end the way kindness always ended in her life suddenly and without warning. But every morning Maria knocked on her door with breakfast. Every afternoon one of the bikers checked to make sure she had everything she needed. Every night Mason stopped by to see Emma, and the hard lines of his face softened into something almost gentle. She's gaining weight, he said on the third night, watching Emma grab at his beard. The formula's working. She's eating better. Lily stood in the small kitchen making coffee she didn't really want because it gave her hands something to do. Sleeping better too. The fever's completely gone. Good. Mason let Emma wrap her tiny fingers around his thumb. That's good. Silence settled between them. The comfortable kind. The kind Lily didn't know existed. I called a lawyer today, Mason said. Janet Morrison. She's good. Grew up around the club. Her dad was a member back in the day. Now she runs a family law practice downtown. Lily's hands tightened on the coffee mug. I can't afford a lawyer. She's doing it pro bono. Why? Because I asked her to. Mason looked up. And because she hates men like your ex, the ones who use money and power to hurt women who can't fight back. Lily wanted to argue, wanted to say she didn't need charity, but she was so tired of fighting alone. When does she want to meet? Tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I'll drive you. You don't have to, Lily. Mason's voice was firm but not unkind. Let me help. That's all I'm asking. Just let me help. Emma gurgled and slapped at his beard. For a moment, Mason's eyes glistened. Okay, Lily whispered. Okay. The next morning, Mason drove her downtown on the back of his Harley. Emma stayed with Maria, who had practically adopted the baby as her own grandchild. She'll be fine, Maria had promised, bouncing Emma on her hip. Go handle your business. We'll be here when you get back. Janet Morrison's office was on the 4th floor of a brick building that had seen better days. But inside, everything was clean and organized. Degrees on the walls, case files in neat stacks. A woman behind the desk who looked like she could argue God himself into submission. Lily Dawson. Janet stood and extended her hand. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. I've heard a lot about you. From Mason. From the papers your ex filed. Janet gestured to the chairs across from her desk. Sit down, we have a lot to discuss. Mason took the chair by the door. Lily sat across from Janet and felt like she was waiting for a verdict. I'm going to be straight with you, Janet said, opening a folder. Derek Marshall has money, he has connections, and he has a legal team that specializes in making mothers look unfit. Lily's stomach dropped. So I'm going to lose. I didn't say that. Janet leaned forward. I said he has resources, but resources don't win cases. Evidence wins cases. And right now, all Derek has is money and accusations. He has my juvenile record, which is sealed. He got access somehow. Janet's eyes narrowed. That's interesting. Sealed records don't unseal themselves. She made a note. I'll look into how he obtained that information. If he did it illegally, it's inadmissible, and it might give us grounds for a countersuit. For the first time in days, Lily felt something like hope. What do you need from me? Everything. Janet pulled out a legal pad. Start from the beginning. How you met Derek, what the relationship was like, why you left. Every detail, no matter how small. Lily took a breath, and she told her everything. The way Derek had swept into her life when she was 21, working at a coffee shop, barely surviving. The flowers, the compliments, the feeling of being seen for the first time in her life. The first time he hit her 6 months into the relationship. The apologies, the promises it would never happen again. It happened again and again and again. The pregnancy that was supposed to change everything. Derek's excitement, the nursery he built, the future he promised. Then Emma was born, and Derek decided that daughters were disappointments. He wanted a son, Lily said, her voice hollow. When they told him it was a girl, something changed in his eyes. He looked at Emma like she was defective. Janet's pen stopped moving. Did he ever hurt Emma? No, he wouldn't touch her, wouldn't hold her, wouldn't even look at her. Lily's throat tightened. But he hurt me, in front of her, while she was in the room. How often I might? Every week, sometimes more. Mason shifted in his chair. Lily didn't look at him, couldn't look at him. I left when Emma was 2 months old, she continued. Derek was at work. I packed one bag, took everything I could carry, drove 3 days straight until I ended up here. Did you file a police report? No. Why not? Lily laughed bitterly. Derek has cops on his payroll. He told me once when he was drunk. Said if I ever tried to report him, he'd have me arrested instead. Said he had friends who could make anything happen. Janet set down her pen. Lily, look at me. Lily looked up. I've handled cases like this before. Men who think their money makes them untouchable. Men who use the system to abuse women who can't fight back. Janet's voice was steel. They're not untouchable, and we're going to prove it. How? By building a case so solid that no judge in their right mind would give him custody. Janet stood up and walked to her filing cabinet. I need documentation, medical records, photos, anything that shows what he did to you. I don't have any of that. Did you ever go to the hospital? Once I told them I fell. Did anyone else know about the abuse, friends, neighbors? Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor back in Ohio, she heard us fighting once, saw the bruises. I'll need her contact information. Janet pulled out another folder. What about character witnesses, people who can speak to what kind of mother you are? I don't, Lily's voice cracked. I don't have anyone. You have us. Mason's voice cut through the room. Both women turned to look at him. Every member of this club has watched Lily with that baby, he said. Every one of them can testify to what kind of mother she is. Maria, Bear, the other wives, they've all seen it. Janet's eyebrows rose. You're offering to have Hell's Angels testify in a custody hearing, if that's what it takes. Derek's lawyers will have a field day with that. They'll paint her as someone who exposes her child to dangerous criminals. Then we show them who we really are. Mason stood up. We're not what people think. Most of us have families, kids, grandkids. We run legitimate businesses, pay our taxes, follow the law. Most of the time, Janet said dryly, when it counts. Mason's jaw tightened. That little girl deserves to stay with her mother, and we're going to make damn sure that happens. Janet studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. All right, I'll need affidavits from anyone willing to testify, detailed accounts of Lily's parenting, and I'll need the club's financial records to prove the businesses are legitimate. Done. I'll also need you to keep a low profile, Lily. No incidents, no altercations, nothing Derek's lawyers can use against you. I understand. Good. Janet gathered her files. The hearing is in 18 days. That's not a lot of time. But if we work together, we can build a defense. For the first time since Derek walked into that diner, Lily felt like she could breathe. They walked out of Janet's office into the cold December air. Mason handed Lily the spare helmet without a word. "Thank you," she said, "for finding her, for all of this." "Don't thank me yet." Mason swung onto the bike. "We've got a long road ahead." Lily climbed on behind him, wrapped her arms around his waist. "Mason, yeah, why did you really help me that night in the pharmacy? You didn't know anything about me, didn't know I was running from someone, didn't know about Derek." Mason didn't answer right away. The engine rumbled beneath them. "You really want to know, comment?" "Yes." He turned his head slightly, just enough for her to hear. "Because when I saw Emma crying in that stroller, I saw Sophie, my granddaughter, 11 months old when she died." His voice cracked. "And when I saw you counting those coins, I saw my daughter, Rachel, fighting for her baby with everything she had." Lily's arms tightened around him. "I couldn't save them," Mason said. "I was 20 minutes late, 20 minutes, and by the time I got there, the ambulance was already gone. I'm so sorry. I spent 3 years drinking myself to death, hoping I'd crash the bike, hoping something would end it." He kicked the bike into gear. "Then I saw you, and I thought maybe this is my second chance. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Help strangers in pharmacies. Help people who need it." He pulled out of the parking lot, the way I should have helped them. They rode in silence back to the clubhouse, and Lily held on tight, her face pressed against the leather of his jacket, crying tears that the wind swept away before they could fall. A week passed. Lily fell into a rhythm, mornings with Emma, afternoons working at the auto shop the club owned, answering phones, scheduling appointments, making herself useful. Evenings helping Maria cook dinner for whoever showed up hungry. She'd never had a routine before, never had people who expected her to be somewhere, not because they needed something from her, but because they wanted her there. It was terrifying. It was wonderful. "You're good with the customers," Bear told her one afternoon. He'd stopped by the shop to check on things and found Lily charming a grumpy old man whose truck needed a new transmission. "I worked at a diner for 2 years. You learn to handle difficult people. This one's more than difficult. That's Earl Patterson. He's been coming here for 15 years and never once said thank you." "He said it today." Lily smiled. "Twice." Bear laughed, a deep rumbling sound that shook his whole body. "Maria was right about you," he said. "Right about what?" "She said you were special, said there was something about you that reminded her of her sister." Bear's smile faded slightly. "Her sister died young too. Cancer. Left behind 2 kids who had nobody." "What happened to them?" "Maria raised them, both of them, worked 3 jobs to put them through school." He shook his head. "That's why she took to you so fast. She knows what it's like to fight for family when the world's trying to tear you apart." Lily's eyes stung. "I don't know how to thank her. Thank any of you." "You don't have to. That's not how this works." Bear put a heavy hand on her shoulder. "You're one of us now, and we take care of our own." That night, Lily put Emma to bed and sat by the window watching the parking lot below. A few bikes were still there. Music drifted up from the clubhouse. Laughter, voices, family. She'd never had one before. Not really. The foster homes had been revolving doors. The group homes had been survival. Derek had been a prison disguised as love. But this felt different. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Lily's blood went cold. She answered. "Hello. Hey, baby." Derek's voice slithered through the phone like a snake. "Miss me?" Lily's hand shook. "How did you get this number? I told you I know people." His tone was casual, almost friendly. "How's my daughter?" "She's not your daughter. The law says different. In 17 days, a judge is going to say different too." "You're not going to win." Derek laughed. "You think those bikers can protect you? You think that lady lawyer is going to save you?" His voice dropped. "I know things, Lily. Things about that club. Things that could put every single one of them behind bars." Lily's stomach lurched. "You're lying." "Am I?" "Ask your friend Mason about the warehouse fire in 2019. Ask him about the insurance money. Derek's smile was audible. Ask him what really happened to Victor Santos's first wife. You're making this up. Then why are you shaking? Lily looked down. Her hand was trembling so hard the phone nearly slipped from her grip. 17 days, baby. That's all you have left. And when this is over, Emma's coming home with me, where she belongs. The line went dead. Lily sat frozen. Her heart pounded in her ears. Derek knew about the club, knew things that sounded like leverage, like weapons. She should tell Mason. But what if it was true? What if the people protecting her had secrets that could destroy them all? She didn't sleep that night. When morning came, she found Mason in the clubhouse kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the paper like the world wasn't falling apart. We need to talk, she said. Mason looked up, saw her face, set down his cup. What happened? Derek called me last night. Mason's expression hardened. How did he get your number? I don't know, but that's not what scared me. Lily sat down across from him. He said he knows things about the club, about you. What kind of things? A warehouse fire in 2019, insurance money. Lily watched his face carefully. Something about Bear's first wife. Mason went still. He's lying, and Lily said. Right, he's just trying to scare me. Mason didn't answer. Mason, the warehouse fire was an accident. His voice was flat, careful. Faulty wiring. Insurance paid out because that's what insurance does. And Bear's wife, she left him 15 years ago, ran off with another man and never looked back. So Derek's lying. Derek's fishing. Mason leaned forward. He's trying to find something he can use, trying to shake you loose, make you doubt the people protecting you. Is there anything to find? Mason's eyes met hers. Every club has history, Lily. Every person has things they're not proud of. But nothing that would hold up in court. Nothing that would change what's happening here. You're sure, I'm sure. But something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like fear. Lily wanted to believe him. She wasn't sure she did. 2 days later, Janet called with news. We have a problem. Lily's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Derek filed a motion to expedite the hearing. Claims Emma is in immediate danger living at the clubhouse. Janet's voice was tight with anger. He submitted photographs. Photographs of what? You getting on Mason's motorcycle, walking into the clubhouse, carrying Emma past a row of Harleys. Janet paused. He's been watching you, Lily. He has someone following you. The world tilted. The judge granted the motion. The hearing is in 5 days. 5 days, that's not enough on time. I know, I'm filing an objection, but I don't think it'll work. Derek's lawyer is good, connected. He knows how to play the system. Lily's legs gave out. She sank onto the couch phone pressed to her ear, trying to remember how to breathe. There's something else, Janet said quietly. Derek submitted a character affidavit from someone who claims to have witnessed you neglecting Emma. That's impossible. I've never neglected her. The affidavit is from someone named Carol Patterson. Lily's blood turned to ice. Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor. She would never. She signed it, Lily. She signed a sworn statement saying she saw you leave Emma alone in your apartment while you went out drinking. That's a lie. I never. She loves Emma. She helped me take care of her. I believe you, but we need to prove it. Janet's voice hardened. Derek got to her somehow, paid her off, threatened her. Something. She's 83 years old. She can barely walk. What could he possibly? Maya, then it hit her. Mrs. Patterson's grandson, the one she always worried about, the one with gambling debts and bad friends. Derek had found her weakness, just like he always did. I need to talk to her, Lily said. I need to find out what he did. Absolutely not. If you contact a witness before the hearing, it could be construed as intimidation. But, Lily, listen to me. I know this is hard, but we have to play this smart. We have 5 days to build our case. Let me do my job. The line went dead. Lily sat in the silence, feeling everything slip through her fingers. 5 days. That's all she had. Mason found her an hour later, still sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. Janet called me, he said. Told me what happened. He's going to take her. Lily's voice was hollow. He's going to take my baby. No, he's not. You don't know that. You don't know what he's capable of. Mason sat down beside him, close but not touching, solid and warm. I know what I'm capable of, he said quietly, and I know what this club is capable of. Derek Marshall thinks he can buy and bully his way to whatever he wants. He's about to find out different. How? How can you stop him? Mason was quiet for a moment. There's something I haven't told you, he said, about Derek, about his business. Lily looked at him. 3 years ago, his operation crossed paths with ours. He was moving product through our territory. We had words. It got ugly. Mason's jaw tightened. During that time, I collected information, insurance in case things went sideways. What kind of information? The kind that could put Derek Marshall in federal prison for the rest of his life. Lily's heart stopped. You have evidence against Derek, enough to bury him. Mason's eyes met hers, but using it would expose how I got it. There are things in those files that would implicate me too, maybe others in the club. Then why are you telling me? Because your daughter is more important than my freedom. His voice cracked. Rachel would have wanted me to do this. Sophie would have wanted me to do this. And I'll be damned if I let another little girl suffer because I was too much of a coward to act. Lily couldn't speak. I'm going to give the evidence to Janet, Mason said. Tomorrow. Whatever happens after that happens. But Emma stays with you. That's all that matters. Mason, Lily reached for his hand. You could go to prison. Maybe, he squeezed her fingers. But at least I'll know I did the right thing. For once in my miserable life, I'll know I did something that mattered. Tears streamed down Lily's face. Why? Why would you sacrifice everything for us? Mason looked at her for a long moment. Because you gave me something I'd lost, he said. Hope, purpose, a reason to be better than I was. He wiped a tear from her cheek. You saved me, Lily, long before I ever saved you. The clubhouse door opened. Bear walked in. His face was grim. We've got a problem, he said. Derek's guy, the one following Lily. We caught him. Mason stood. Where is he? Downstairs, tied to a chair. Bear's eyes were hard, and he's talking. A lot. They went downstairs. Lily followed, despite Mason telling her to stay. The man in the chair was young. Late 20s, expensive clothes now wrinkled and torn. A camera around his neck. Terror in his eyes. Please, he gasped. I was just doing a job, following orders. Bear stood over him. Whose orders? Derek Marshall. He hired me through a PI firm, said he needed surveillance on his ex. What else did he hire you to do? The man hesitated. Bear's fist connected with his jaw. I asked you a question. Okay, blood dripped from the man's lip. He wanted dirt. On the club. On your businesses. On anything he could use. Did you find anything? No, nothing illegal. I swear, you're all clean. Mason stepped forward. What about the old woman, Carol Patterson? Did Derek send someone to her? The man's face paled. I don't know anything about that. You're lying. I'm not. I just do surveillance. I don't know about any old woman. Mason grabbed him by the collar. Then who does? There's another guy. Derek has another guy who handles the persuasion stuff. Name's Vince. Vincent Delgado. He's the one Derek calls when he needs people to change their minds. Mason's blood ran cold. Vincent Delgado. He knew that name. Where is he? Mason demanded. I don't know. I swear we've never met face to face. Mason let him go, stepped back, looked at Bear. Delgado's bad news, Bear said quietly. He's connected. Cartel money. Dirty cops. I know. If he's involved in this, it's bigger than a custody case. I know. Lily's voice cut through the tension. Who is Vincent Delgado? Neither man answered. Tell me, if my daughter is in danger, I deserve to know. Mason turned to face her. His expression was the hardest she'd ever seen. Delgado is a fixer. He makes problems disappear. Witnesses, evidence, people. His voice dropped. 3 years ago, he worked for a drug ring we helped shut down. Half his guys went to prison. He swore revenge on everyone involved. Including you. Including me. Lily's knees buckled. Bear caught her before she hit the floor. This isn't just about custody anymore, she whispered. Derek didn't hire Delgado to help him win in court. No, Mason said. He didn't. Then what does he want? Mason's eyes were dark with something she'd never seen before. Fear. He wants to destroy us, all of us, and he's using you to do it. The room went silent. Emma's cries echoed from upstairs, and Lily realized that the danger she'd been running from was nothing compared to the danger that had just found her. Emma's cries pulled Lily back from the edge of panic. She pushed past Mason and Bear took the stairs, two at a time, burst through the apartment door. Emma stood in her crib, face red tears streaming, arms reaching for her mother. I'm here. Lily scooped her up, held her tight against her chest. Mama's here. You're okay. You're okay. But she wasn't okay. None of them were. Mason appeared in the doorway. His face had aged 10 years in the last 10 minutes. We need to talk, he said. About what happens next. What happens next is you tell me everything. Lily's voice shook with anger and fear. No more secrets, no more half-truths. If my daughter is in danger, I need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Mason nodded slowly. Fair enough. He sat down on the old armchair Maria had brought up from the clubhouse. Lily stayed standing, Emma clinging to her neck. Vincent Delgado worked for the Medina cartel, Mason began. Small-time operation, mostly moving product up from the border. 3 years ago, they tried to expand into our territory. We pushed back. Pushed back how? We gave information to the feds, anonymous tips, evidence we'd collected over months. Mason's jaw tightened. Half of Delgado's crew went to prison. The cartel cut ties with him. He lost everything. And now he's working for Derek. Looks that way. Why, what does Derek have that Delgado wants? Money, access, protection. Mason leaned forward. Derek's not just some rich guy with the connections, Lily. He's connected to people who move serious weight, the kind of people who can make a man like Delgado useful again. Lily felt sick. I didn't know. When I was with him, I never knew. How could you men like Derek are experts at hiding what they really are? Mason's voice softened. This isn't your fault. None of it. But it is my problem. Lily pressed her lips to Emma's hair. Our problem. What, just yours? Mason stood up. This club took you in, made you family. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Even if it means prison. Even then, Emma had stopped crying. She was watching Mason with those big, curious eyes, the same way she'd watched him that first night in the pharmacy. What do we do now? Lily asked. Now we prepare. The hearing is in 4 days. Janet needs that evidence I told you about. And we need to figure out what Delgado is planning before he makes his move. How Mason's face hardened. I know some people who owe me favors. It's time to call them in. He walked toward the door. Mason, he stopped. Be careful, please. Something flickered in his eyes, something almost like hope. Always. The next morning, the clubhouse was buzzing with tension. Lily came downstairs to find Bear at the main table surrounded by maps, phones, and laptops. Half a dozen other club members sat around him, their faces grim. What's going on? Bear looked up. War Council. War time. Not that kind. He gestured for her to sit. We're tracking Delgado's movements, trying to figure out what Derek's got planned. Did you find anything? Some. Bear slid a photograph across the table. A man with slicked back hair and dead eyes stared up at her. Vincent Delgado, 53 years old, 2 arrests, no convictions. The feds have been trying to pin something on him for years. He looks... Lily couldn't find the word. Evil. Bear nodded. He is. The things this man has done would keep you awake for the rest of your life. And he's working with Derek. They met 3 times in the past week. Our guy caught them at a restaurant downtown. Very cozy, very friendly. Lily's hands clenched. What does Derek want from him? That's what we're trying to figure out. Bear pulled up another photograph. A building, nondescript, industrial. This is Delgado's current base of operations. Warehouse on the east side. Our sources say he's been bringing in extra muscle. For what? Bear exchanged a look with one of the other members. A silent conversation Lily couldn't read. Bear, for what? We don't know yet, but it's not good. The front door opened. Mason walked in, followed by a woman Lily had never seen before. She was beautiful, late 40s, silver-streaked hair, the kind of face that had once launched ships and broken hearts. But her eyes were red-rimmed, and she moved like someone carrying a weight too heavy for her shoulders. Mason saw Lily and stopped. "Lily, this is Sarah, my ex-wife." The room went silent. Sarah's eyes traveled over Lily's face down to Emma in her arms, back up again. Something complicated moved through her expression. Pain, jealousy, recognition. "So you're the one," Sarah said. Her voice was hoarse. "The one he's been protecting." "I didn't ask for pain." "I know you didn't." Sarah cut her off. "Mason told me everything. About the pharmacy, about your ex, about all of it." "Then you know I'm not trying to replace—" "Stop." Sarah held up her hand. "I didn't come here to fight with you. I came because Mason asked me to." Lily looked at Mason. "You called her." "I needed to." His voice was heavy. "There are things about Derek that Sarah knows. Things that might help." Sarah pulled out a chair and sat down. Her movements were slow, deliberate, like every action cost her something. Before Rachel died, she said she was dating someone, a man who seemed perfect at first, charming, successful, attentive. Lily's blood went cold. "Derek?" "No, but the same type." Sarah's eyes found hers. "I didn't see the signs. I thought she was happy. By the time I realized what was really going on, it was too late." "What happened?" "He hit her once. She left him that same night." Sarah's voice cracked. "But she didn't tell us. Didn't tell anyone. She thought she could handle it alone." Mason put a hand on Sarah's shoulder. She didn't shake it off. "A month later, she was dead," Sarah continued. "The accident wasn't random. The drunk driver who hit her, he worked for the man she'd been dating. The police couldn't prove anything, but we knew." Lily couldn't breathe. "You think he had her killed?" "I think powerful men don't like being rejected." Sarah wiped her eyes. "I think my daughter died because she tried to leave someone who couldn't accept losing." The words hung in the air like smoke. "That's why I'm here," Sarah said. "When Mason told me about you, about what you're running from, I couldn't stay away. I couldn't let another young mother face this alone." "You don't owe me anything." "No, but I owe Rachel." Sarah reached out and touched Emma's cheek. The baby stared at her with wide eyes. "I couldn't save my daughter, but maybe I can help save yours." Lily felt tears building behind her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Sarah shook her head. "Don't thank me yet. I haven't told you the useful part." "What useful part?" "I kept records. After Rachel died, I became obsessed with men like the one who hurt her. Men like your Derek." Sarah pulled a folder from her bag. "6 months ago, I found a connection. Derek Marshall was doing business with the same network that destroyed my daughter." Bear leaned forward. "What kind of business?" "Money laundering, drug trafficking, and something else." Sarah opened the folder. "There's a woman, a federal prosecutor named Rebecca Chen. She's been building a case against Derek's network for 2 years. She's close. Very close." Mason's eyes narrowed. "How do you know this?" "Because I reached out to her after Rachel died." Sarah's voice hardened. "I told her everything I knew. She couldn't use most of it, but she believed me. And she's been feeding me information ever since." "Why didn't you tell me?" Mason demanded. "Because you were drowning in whiskey and self-pity." Sarah met his eyes without flinching. "And because I wasn't sure I could trust you to be useful. But now you've got something worth fighting for." Sarah looked at Lily and Emma. "And so do I." Bear slammed his hand on the table. "This changes everything. If we can connect with this prosecutor, give her what we have on Derek." "It's not that simple," Sarah cut him off. "Rebecca can't know about the club's involvement. If she finds out you're connected to this, it compromises her whole case. Then how do we use this carefully?" Sarah pulled another document from the folder. "Derek's custody hearing is in 4 days. If he wins, he takes Emma. If he loses, he'll disappear. Go somewhere the feds can't reach him." "So we have to make sure he loses," Lily said. "Yes, but more than that." Sarah's eyes were hard. "We have to make sure he can't run, which means we need to coordinate with Rebecca, time everything perfectly." Mason ran a hand through his hair. "This is getting complicated." It's been complicated since the moment Lily walked into that pharmacy. Sarah stood up. I need to make some calls. See if I can set up a meeting with Rebecca. She walked toward the door, then stopped. Mason. Yeah, I'm sorry for what I said after Rachel died, for blaming you. Her voice wavered. I was wrong. You're a good man. You always were. Mason didn't respond, but Lily saw something shift in his face. Something that had been frozen for 3 years beginning to thaw. Sarah left. The room exhaled. Well, Bear said, that was unexpected. Tell me about it. Mason sank into a chair. I haven't seen her in 2 years. Thought she hated me. Maybe she did. Bear shrugged. People change. Lily sat down next to Mason, Emma drowsy in her arms. She's right, about you being a good man. Mason shook his head. I'm not. You are, Lily cut him off. You just don't see it yet. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something neither of them was ready to name. Emma yawned and snuggled closer to her mother. Get some rest, Mason said. Both of you. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Lily didn't argue. For the first time in weeks, she almost believed things might be okay. The next day, everything changed. It started with a phone call at 6 a.m. Janet's voice was sharp with panic. They moved the hearing. Lily sat up in bed, heart pounding. What? Derek's lawyers filed an emergency motion last night. The judge granted it. Janet took a breath. The hearing is tomorrow, Lily. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's impossible. We're not ready. I know. That's why I'm calling. Janet paused. There's something else. What? Derek submitted new evidence? A recording. Lily's blood turned to ice. What recording? A conversation between you and someone named Mason Cole. Derek's claiming it proves you've been conspiring with criminals to keep Emma away from her father. The room spun. He was recording us. Someone was. My guess is the PI or Delgado's people. Janet's voice tightened. Lily, I need you to tell me exactly what was said in every conversation you have had with Mason. Every word. Lily tried to think, tried to remember, but her mind was a hurricane of terror. I don't know. We talked about the custody case, about my past, about Derek being dangerous. Did Mason ever mention doing anything illegal to protect you? No, he said he had evidence against Derek, but he didn't say how he got it. Janet cursed. That's probably enough. If Derek's lawyers can frame that as a conspiracy to obstruct justice, we weren't conspiring, we were trying to protect Emma. I know that, but perception matters. And right now, the perception is that you moved in with a motorcycle gang and started plotting against your child's father. Lily wanted to scream, wanted to break something, wanted to go back in time and never walk into that pharmacy, but she couldn't do any of those things. What do? We fight. Janet's voice steadied. Get Mason, get everyone. We're having a war council of our own. An hour later, Janet arrived at the clubhouse. The main room was packed. Bear, Mason, Maria, Sarah, a dozen other club members and their wives, all of them ready to fight. Janet spread her files across the table. Here's where we stand. Derek has money connections and a recording that makes Lily look like she's conspiring with criminals. The judge is already sympathetic to his claims about Emma being in danger. What do we have? Bear asked. Character witnesses, documentation of Lily's parenting, and Janet looked at Mason. Evidence of Derek's criminal activity, if we can use it. Use it, Mason said. All of it. Mason, I told you if we use that evidence, it exposes how you obtained it. You could go to prison. I don't care. You should care. Janet leaned forward. If you go to prison, who protects Lily? Who protects Emma? You think Derek's just going to forget about the club once he has custody? She's right. Bear's voice was heavy. We need you out here, brother. Not behind bars. Then what do you suggest? Mason's frustration boiled over. We just let him take her. No. A new voice cut through the argument. Everyone turned. Sarah stood in the doorway, phone in hand. I just got off the phone with Rebecca Chen, she said, the federal prosecutor. She's willing to meet. Tonight. Janet's eyes widened. She's willing to coordinate. More than that. Sarah walked to the table. She's been building a case against Derek for 18 months. She's close to an indictment, but she needs one more thing. What if I am a witness, someone inside Derek's operation who's willing to testify? We don't have anyone inside, Bear said. No, Sarah's eyes found Lily, but we have someone who was. Every head turned, Lily's heart stopped. Me. You lived with him for almost a year. You saw things, heard things, even if you didn't understand what they meant at the time. I didn't know anything about his business. Are you sure, Sarah pressed him? Think Lily. Late night phone calls, visitors at strange hours, places he told you to never look. Lily closed her eyes, tried to remember. The memories were painful, tangled with fear and shame, but they were there. There was a room, she said slowly, in the basement. He kept it locked, told me it was for business records. Did you ever see inside once by accident? He didn't know I was home. Lily's voice trembled. There were files, and I don't know, equipment, phones, computers. Janet scribbled notes. Could you identify anything specific? I don't know, maybe. Lily opened her eyes. I was scared, I didn't look closely. But you could describe the room, the setup. Yes, that might be enough. Janet looked at Sarah. Can you get us a meeting with Chen tonight? Already done, 8 o'clock, downtown. Bear shook his head. This is moving too fast. We don't know if we can trust this prosecutor. We don't have a choice. Mason stood up. The hearing is tomorrow. If we don't do something drastic, Lily loses Emma, forever. And if this goes wrong, we all go down. Then we go down fighting. Mason looked around the room. That's what this club has always done. We protect our own, no matter the cost. Silence fell. Then Bear nodded slowly. All right, we do this your way. He pointed at Mason. But if this blows up in our faces, you're buying drinks for the rest of your life. Despite everything, Mason almost smiled. Deal. The meeting with Rebecca Chen happened in a parking garage downtown. Neutral territory, no witnesses. Mason drove Lily in a truck instead of his bike. Less conspicuous, harder to follow. Sarah met them at the entrance. She's on the 3rd level, alone like she promised. You trust her? Mason asked. With my life. Sarah's eyes were steady. She's the only person who believed me about Rachel. She's been fighting for justice longer than any of us. They walked up the ramp together. Rebecca Chen was leaning against a concrete pillar. Arms crossed, late 30s, sharp suit, eyes that missed nothing. You must be Lily. She didn't offer her hand. Sarah told me about your situation. She told me about yours, too. Then you know I've been chasing Derek Marshall for a long time. Rebecca pushed off the pillar. He's slippery, smart, knows how to cover his tracks. I've been building a case for 18 months, and I'm still missing pieces. What kind of pieces? Physical evidence of his operation. Witness testimony about his methods. Rebecca studied Lily's face. Sarah thinks you can help with both. I don't know what I can offer. Tell me about the room, the one in the basement. Lily took a breath and described what she'd seen. The locked door, the files, the crane, the electronic equipment. Rebecca listened without interrupting. That sounds like a communications hub, she said when Lily finished. Derek uses burner phones to coordinate with his suppliers. If we could get access to that room, it's his property, Mason cut in. We can't just walk in. No, but we might not have to. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. The custody hearing is tomorrow. If Derek thinks he's going to win, he'll be focused on that, not on his operation. You want to raid him while he's in court? I want to execute a search warrant that I've been sitting on for 6 months. Rebecca smiled thinly. The timing would be convenient. What do you need from us? Lily asked. Your testimony. A sworn statement describing what you saw in that room. It won't be enough for a conviction on its own, but combined with what I already have, it'll give me probable cause for the warrant. And the custody hearing. That's Janet Morrison's problem. Rebecca's tone softened slightly. But I can tell you this. If Derek is arrested before the judge makes a decision, the whole case falls apart. No father, no custody dispute. Lily's heart raced. You could arrest him tomorrow. If everything goes right. Rebecca paused. But I need you to understand the risks. If Derek finds out what we're planning, he runs, disappears, takes his operation underground, and starts again somewhere else. He won't find out. Mason stepped forward. We'll make sure of it. Rebecca looked at him. Really looked. You're Mason Cole, the one Sarah told me about. Yes. She says you have evidence, things that could help my case. Mason hesitated, looked at Lily, then back at Rebecca. I have documentation of Derek's connections to Vincent Delgado, financial records, communications, enough to prove they've been working together. How did you obtain this documentation? Does it matter? It matters to a judge. Rebecca crossed her arms. If the evidence was obtained illegally, I can't use it. Then don't use it in court. Mason's voice hardened. Use it to know where to look, what questions to ask. I'll give you the roadmap. You find your own evidence. Rebecca considered this. That could work. But there's something else. Mason glanced at Sarah, then back at the prosecutor. Delgado is planning something. We don't know what yet, but he's been gathering muscle, preparing for something big. Related to Derek. Related to us. Mason's jaw tightened. We helped take down his operation 3 years ago. He's been waiting for payback. So this isn't just about custody. It's about revenge. It's about all of it. Mason stepped closer. Derek wants Emma. Delgado wants blood. And we're standing in the middle of both. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. All right, she finally said. Here's what we're going to do. Lily gives me her statement tonight. I use it to activate the warrant. Tomorrow morning, while Derek's in court, my team hits his property. And if you find what you're looking for, then I walk into that courthouse and arrest him in front of the judge. Rebecca's smile was cold. Custody dispute over. Lily felt hope surge through her chest. Real hope. The first she'd felt in days. Thank you, she said. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Rebecca pulled a recorder from her pocket. Let's get your statement. We've got a long night ahead of us. They returned to the clubhouse at midnight. Lily was exhausted but wired. Too much adrenaline, too much fear, too much hope. Mason walked her to the apartment door. Try to get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be intense. I don't think I can sleep. Try anyway. He started to turn away. Mason, he stopped. What happens after tomorrow if this works? If Derek gets arrested and I keep Emma, then you get to live your life. His voice was soft, whatever that looks like. What if I want it to look like this? Lily gestured at the clubhouse around them. This place, these people, you. Mason was quiet for a long moment. You deserve better than an old biker with too much baggage. Maybe I don't want better. She stepped closer. Maybe I want someone who showed up when I had nothing. Someone who risked everything to protect my daughter. Someone who looked at Emma like she was Sophie. Mason's voice cracked. I know, that's not what I was going to say. Lily reached up and touched his face. You look at Emma like she matters, like she's worth fighting for, like she's family. Yes. They stood there, inches apart, the weight of everything between them. After tomorrow, Mason said quietly, if we survive this, we'll talk. Promise, we didn't. He turned and walked away. Lily watched him go. Then she went inside, checked on Emma, and lay down on the bed. Tomorrow would decide everything, but tonight, for just a few hours, she let herself believe in a future she'd never dared imagine. The morning came too fast. Lily opened her eyes at 5:47 a.m., 13 minutes before her alarm. Emma was still sleeping, one tiny fist pressed against her cheek, breathing soft and steady. Today, everything happens today. She got up, quietly, showered, put on the clothes Maria had bought her for the hearing. A simple navy dress, low heels, nothing flashy, nothing that said biker's girlfriend or unfit mother or any of the other labels Derek's lawyers would try to pin on her. Janet had been clear. Look respectable, sound respectable, be the mother that judge wants to give custody to. By 7 a.m., the clubhouse was alive with tension. Mason met her at the bottom of the stairs. He was wearing a suit. Lily had never seen him in anything but leather and denim, and the transformation was startling. He looked older, softer, like someone's father or grandfather. You clean up nice, she said, trying to smile. Don't get used to it. But his eyes were warm. You ready? No. Good, that means you're taking it seriously. Bear appeared behind him also in a suit. Maria, Sarah, half a dozen other club members and their wives, all dressed like they were going to church instead of war. We'll be in the gallery, Bear said. Every one of us. That judge is going to see exactly who's supporting you. Won't that make things worse? Derek's lawyers can go to hell. Maria took Lily's hands. You're not alone. You were never alone. And today everyone in that courtroom is going to know it. Emma woke up crying. Lily went to her, held her close, breathed in the baby shampoo smell of her hair. It's okay, sweet girl. Mama's going to fix everything. I promise. She prayed it wasn't a lie. They arrived at the courthouse at 8:30. Janet was waiting on the steps, briefcase and handgame face on. Rebecca's team is in position, she said quietly. The warrant's been signed. They're hitting Derek's property at 9:15 right after the hearing starts. What if they don't find anything? They'll find something. Janet's voice was steel. Your statement gave them everything they need. Now we just have to buy time. How long? An hour, maybe 2. Janet looked at Emma in Lily's arms. Keep her calm. Keep yourself calm. And whatever Derek's lawyers throw at you, don't react. Don't give them anything they can use. What are they going to throw at me? Janet hesitated. Janet, tell me. They're going to try to paint you as unstable, violent, unfit. Janet's jaw tightened. They'll bring up your foster care history, the incident at Westbrook. They'll twist everything you've ever done into evidence that Emma isn't safe with you. Lily's stomach churned, and I just have to sit there and take it. For now, yes. Janet put a hand on her shoulder. But when it's our turn, we hit back. Hard. They walked inside. The courtroom was smaller than Lily expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, an American flag behind the judge's bench. It looked ordinary, boring, not like the place where her entire life would be decided. Derek was already there. He sat at the plaintiff's table with 2 lawyers in expensive suits. His hair was perfect. His tie was straight. He smiled when he saw Lily, the same smile that had charmed her once, the same smile that hid the monster underneath. Lily. He said her name like they were old friends. You look tired. Long night. Don't talk to me. I'm just concerned about you, about our daughter. He glanced at Emma. She looks thin. Are you feeding her enough? Mr. Marshall, Janet's voice cut through like a blade. Any communication with my client goes through me. Understood. Derek's smile didn't waver. Of course, my apologies. The gallery filled up behind them. Mason, Bear, Maria, Sarah, a dozen others who were sitting together, all watching Derek with barely concealed contempt. Derek noticed. His smile flickered for just a moment. Good, Lily thought. Be afraid. You should be. The bailiff called the court to order. All rise for the Honorable Judge Patricia Coleman. Everyone stood. The judge entered. Late 50s, gray hair pulled back severely, reading glasses perched on her nose. She sat down and surveyed the courtroom like a general assessing a battlefield. Be seated. She opened a folder. We're here today in the matter of Marshall versus Dawson petition for custody of the minor child Emma Dawson. Mr. Hartley, you may begin. Derek's lead lawyer stood up, tall, silver-haired, the kind of man who'd never lost a case because he'd never fought one he couldn't win. Thank you, Your Honor. My client, Derek Marshall, is a successful businessman, a pillar of his community, and a devoted father who wants nothing more than to be part of his daughter's life. Lily's fist clenched under the table. Unfortunately, Hartley continued, the respondent, Lily Dawson, has made that impossible. She fled the state with the child nearly a year ago, denying Mr. Marshall any contact with his daughter. She has since taken up residence with members of a notorious motorcycle gang, exposing the child to an environment rife with criminal activity and potential danger. Objection. Janet stood. Characterizing the Hells Angels as a notorious motorcycle gang is prejudicial and inflammatory. Sustained. Judge Coleman fixed Hartley with a hard look. Keep the rhetoric in check, counselor. My apologies, Your Honor. Hartley didn't look sorry at all. Let me rephrase. Ms. Dawson has chosen to live with individuals who have documented criminal histories. We have evidence that the child has been regularly exposed to these individuals, including being present at their clubhouse, which has been linked to various illegal activities. Janet stood again. Your Honor, I'd like to see this so-called evidence. In due time, Counselor. Hartley smiled. For now, I'd like to call up our first witness, Mrs. Carol Patterson. Lily's heart stopped. The door at the back of the courtroom opened and Mrs. Patterson walked in. She was tiny, frail, 83 years old and moving like every step hurt. She didn't look at Lily as she made her way to the witness stand. Mrs. Patterson. Hartley's voice was gentle, solicitous. Thank you for being here today. I know this isn't easy for you. No. Mrs. Patterson's voice was barely audible. It isn't. Can you tell the court your relationship with Ms. Dawson? I was her neighbor. Back in Ohio, I helped take care of Emma sometimes when Lily had to work. And during that time, did you ever witness anything that concerned you about Ms. Dawson's parenting? Mrs. Patterson hesitated. Lily stared at her, willing her to look up, to make eye contact, to remember all the times she'd trusted her with Emma, all the times she'd called her a godsend. Mrs. Patterson, Hartley prompted. The old woman's hands trembled. I saw some things. Yes. What kind of things? One time I went to check on them and found Emma alone in the apartment. Lily wasn't there. The gallery murmured. Lily's mouth fell open. That's not true. Ms. Dawson, Judge Coleman's voice was sharp. You will remain silent until it's your turn to speak. Janet grabbed Lily's arm. Don't, not now. But she's lying. I know, we'll address it. On the stand, Mrs. Patterson continued, her voice growing steadier. Rehearsed. There were other times too. I heard yelling from their apartment. Saw Lily come home late, smelling like alcohol. I was worried about Emma. I tried to talk to Lily about it, but she got angry, defensive. And is that why you contacted my client out of concern for Emma's welfare? Yes. Mrs. Patterson finally looked at Lily. Her eyes were wet, apologetic, terrified. I'm sorry, I just want what's best for the baby. Something clicked in Lily's mind. Mrs. Patterson wasn't lying because she wanted to. She was lying because she had to. Derek had something on her grandson, the gambling debts, something that made a sweet old woman commit perjury in open court. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. Hartley returned to his seat. No further questions. Janet stood. Your Honor, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. Proceed. Janet approached the stand slowly. Her voice was gentle, non-threatening. Mrs. Patterson, how long did you know Lily Dawson? About 8 months. And in those 8 months, did you ever see her hit Emma, neglect, do anything to physically harm her daughter? No, not physically. Did Emma ever appear malnourished, dirty, injured? No. Did Lily ever ask you to lie about anything, cover up anything? No. So the concerns you mentioned, the alleged absences, the yelling, the alcohol, these were isolated incidents. Mrs. Patterson hesitated. I suppose. Mrs. Patterson, is there anything you'd like to add to your testimony? Anything you might have forgotten to mention? The old woman's face crumpled. I can't, she whispered. Can't what? I can't say anything else. They said, if I talked, my grandson would... She stopped, looked at Derek. Terror flooded her eyes. The courtroom erupted. Order! Judge Coleman banged her gavel. Order in the court. Hartley shot to his feet. Your Honor, the witness is clearly confused. I move to strike her last statement from the record. Denied. Judge Coleman leaned forward. Mrs. Patterson, what did you mean by that statement? Who told you not to talk? Mrs. Patterson started crying. I can't. They'll hurt him. They said they'd hurt my Tommy. Janet pressed forward. Your Honor, I believe this witness has been coerced into providing false testimony. I request a brief recess to... There's no need for a recess. Hartley's voice was calm. Too calm. Mrs. Patterson is obviously overwhelmed. Perhaps we should move on to our next witness. Your Honor, Janet started. I'll allow it. Judge Coleman looked troubled but nodded. The witness is excused. Mr. Hartley, call your next witness. Mrs. Patterson practically ran from the courtroom, still crying. Lily watched her go, her heart breaking for both of them. We call Mr. Derek Marshall to the stand. Derek stood, buttoned his jacket, and walked to the witness stand like he was accepting an award. Mr. Marshall, Hartley smiled, tell us about your relationship with Lily Dawson. We met 3 years ago. I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Derek's voice was warm, sincere, completely convincing. We dated for about 8 months before she got pregnant. I was thrilled. I'd always wanted to be a father. And what happened after Emma was born? Things changed. Derek's face fell perfectly. Lily became distant, paranoid. She accused me of things I'd never done, started talking about people following her. I was worried about her mental state. Did you ever harm Ms. Dawson? Never. Derek looked directly at Lily. I loved her. I still love her. All I've ever wanted is to be a family. Lily felt sick. Then why do you think she left? I honestly don't know. Derek shook his head sadly. One day I came home from work and they were gone. No note, no explanation. I spent months looking for them. When I finally found them, Lily was living with. He glanced at the gallery. With those people, I knew I had to act. Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Hartley sat down. Your witness, Ms. Morrison. Janet stood slowly. Marshall, you said you never harmed Ms. Dawson. Is that correct? That's correct. Then can you explain this? Janet pulled a photograph from her folder and handed it to the bailiff. Your Honor, I'd like to submit this as Defense Exhibit A. It's a photograph of Ms. Dawson taken at St. Mary's Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, approximately 10 months ago. The photograph appeared on the courtroom screen. Lily at 22. Face swollen, black eye, split lip, bruises covering her neck. The gallery gasped. Derek's smile flickered. That photograph is misleading. Lily was in a car accident. I had nothing to do with a car accident. Janet pulled another document. Then perhaps you can explain why the hospital's intake report lists her injuries as consistent with physical assault and notes that she refused to identify her attacker. She was confused, traumatized by the accident. There was no accident, Mr. Marshall. Janet's voice hardened. There's no police report, no insurance claim, no record of any vehicle damage. I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't there. No. Then where were you on the night of March 15th last year? Derek hesitated. I don't remember exactly. Let me refresh your memory. Janet pulled another document. According to phone records obtained by subpoena, you were at your residence. The same residence where Ms. Dawson was living at the time. The same residence she left the following morning, never to return. This is speculation. Is it? Janet held up another photograph. This is a photo of your living room from March 16th taken by a crime scene cleanup company you hired. Note the bloodstains on the carpet, the broken glass, the hole in the wall. The courtroom exploded. Order to Judge Coleman's gavel cracked like gunfire. Order Hartley jumped up. Your Honor, this evidence was not disclosed in discovery. I move to. The evidence was obtained 2 days ago, Janet interrupted. I filed an emergency motion to include it. Your Honor approved it yesterday. Judge Coleman nodded. I did. Overruled, Mr. Hartley. Continue, Ms. Morrison. Derek's perfect composure was cracking. This is a setup. She's working with those criminals to frame me. Mr. Marshall. Janet's voice was ice. Did you or did you not beat Lily Dawson so severely that she required emergency medical treatment? I never. Did you or did you not threaten to kill her if she ever tried to leave? That's a lie. Did you or did you not hire Vincent Delgado to intimidate witnesses and destroy evidence in this case? Derek's face went white. I don't know anyone named. The courtroom doors burst open. 6 federal agents in tactical gear stormed in, weapons drawn. Nobody move, FBI. Chaos erupted. People screamed, dove for cover. The gallery turned into a stampede of terrified bodies. Lily grabbed Emma and held her close, shielding her from the chaos. Derek Marshall. The lead agent's voice cut through the noise. You're under arrest for drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. Derek tried to run. 2 agents tackled him before he made it 3 steps. This is a mistake, Derek screamed as they pinned him to the floor. I have rights. I want my lawyer. You'll get your lawyer at the federal building. The lead agent hauled him up and slapped cuffs on his wrists, along with a very long list of charges. Lily couldn't breathe. It was happening. It was actually happening. Then the agent turned toward the gallery. Mason Cole, Victor Santos, you're also under arrest for obstruction of justice and conspiracy. Lily's heart stopped. No, she tried to push forward, but Janet held her back. They didn't do anything. They were protecting me. Mason locked eyes with her across the courtroom. It's okay, he mouthed. Take care of Emma. Then the agents were on him. On Bear, cuffing them, dragging them toward the door. Mason, Lily screamed. But he was already gone. The courtroom was in shambles. Judge Coleman was shouting for order. Lawyers were arguing. Federal agents were everywhere, seizing documents, taking photographs, asking questions nobody could answer. Janet grabbed Lily's arm. We need to go. Now. I can't leave Mason. Mason knew this might happen. He accepted the risk. Janet's eyes were hard. Right now, I need to get you and Emma somewhere safe before Derek's people figure out what's going on. His people. Delgado is still out there, and he's going to be very, very angry when he finds out his meal ticket just got arrested. The weight of that truth crashed over Lily like a wave. They were outside the courtroom when a social worker stopped them. Ms. Dawson, I'm from Child Protective Services. Lily's blood ran cold. Given the circumstances of today's hearing and the arrest of the individuals providing your current residence, I'm required to conduct an emergency welfare check. Emma is fine. She's right here. I'm sure she is. The social worker's face was sympathetic but firm. But protocol requires me to place the child in temporary protective custody until we can verify that her living situation is safe. No. Lily backed away, clutching Emma tighter. No, you're not taking her. Ms. Dawson, please. This doesn't have to be difficult. You can't do this. The hearing isn't over. The judge hasn't ruled. The judge has recessed the hearing indefinitely due to the federal intervention. Until a new hearing can be scheduled, the child's welfare is my responsibility. Janet stepped forward. I'm Ms. Dawson's attorney. On what grounds are you removing the child? On grounds that her mother is currently homeless. The clubhouse where she was residing is now an active crime scene, and the individuals who were providing support have been arrested. The social worker pulled out a form. I'm required to ensure Emma has a stable, safe environment. Until that can be established, she'll be placed in emergency foster care. Foster care? Lily's voice cracked. I was in foster care. I know what happens there. I won't let you us down, Ms. Dawson. The social worker's voice hardened. You can cooperate voluntarily or I can involve the police. Either way, I'm leaving here with that child. Two security guards appeared behind her. Lily looked at Janet, looked at Emma, looked at the world falling apart around her. Please, the word tore out of her like a sob. Please don't take my baby. She's all I have. She's everything. I'm sorry. The social worker reached for Emma. This is temporary. We'll schedule a hearing as soon as possible. Emma started screaming as she was pulled from Lily's arms. The sound was inhuman, primal, the sound of a child being separated from the only safety she'd ever known. Mama, Mama. Emma. Lily tried to follow, but the security guards blocked her. Emma, I'm here. Mama's right here. Mama. The social worker walked away with Emma in her arms. Lily collapsed. Her knees hit the courthouse floor. Her hands clawed at the marble. Her screams echoed off the walls. Emma, Emma. But Emma was gone, and Lily was alone. Janet found Maria in the chaos. Between them, they got Lily off the floor into a car away from the courthouse. Lily didn't speak, didn't move, just sat in the back seat, staring at nothing, tears streaming down her face. We're going to fix this, Janet said. I'm going to file an emergency motion. We'll get her back. Lily didn't respond. The foster placement is temporary, 24 hours, maybe 48. Once we establish a new residence, prove you have support. I don't have anything. Lily's voice was dead. Wasson is in jail. Bear is in jail. The clubhouse is sealed. Derek is right. I have nothing. You have us. Maria's hand found hers. The club is more than those two men. We're family, all of us, and family doesn't abandon family. Emma's in foster care. Lily's voice broke. Do you know what foster care did to me? Do you know what happens to babies in the system? We're going to get her back. You keep saying that, but how? Lily finally looked at her. How are you going to fight the government? How are you going to fight a system designed to take children from mothers like me? Maria didn't have an answer. They drove in silence. Sarah was waiting at her apartment. I saw the news, she said, pulling Lily into a hug. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They took Emma. I know. They arrested Mason. I know that too. Sarah pulled back. But Rebecca called me. The raid on Derek's property was successful. They found everything, the communications hub, the financial records, enough to put him away for decades. That doesn't bring Emma back. No, but it means Derek is done. He can't fight for custody from a federal prison. Lily laughed bitterly. It doesn't matter. Even if Derek's out of the picture, CPS won't give Emma back to a homeless woman with no support system. Then we build a support system. With what, the club is in shambles. Mason and Bear are being released. Lily's head snapped up. What? Sarah's face softened. Rebecca just called. The obstruction charges aren't going to stick. She's working with the federal prosecutor to get them out tonight. Tonight? The evidence Mason provided against Derek was obtained legally. He didn't break any laws getting it. The arrest was a formality, a way to separate him from the chaos so they could debrief him properly. Lily's heart started beating again. He's coming back. He's coming back. Sarah took her hands, and when he does, we're going to figure this out. Together. For the first time since Emma was taken, Lily felt something other than despair. Hope. Fragile. Desperate. But real. They got word at 9 p.m. Mason and Bear were being released from federal custody. No charge. Full cooperation credit. Rebecca Chen herself had advocated for their release. Lily waited outside the federal building. The doors opened at 9:47. Mason walked out. He looked exhausted. His suit was rumpled. His eyes were hollow. But when he saw Lily, something in his face came alive. They took Emma, she said. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. CPS took her. She's in foster care, and I couldn't stop them. And I tried Mason. I tried so hard, but they just took her. Mason crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. He pulled her into his arms. We're going to get her back. How about him? I don't know yet, but we will. His voice was fierce, certain. I promise you, Lily, on Rachel's memory, on Sophie's grave, we are going to bring your daughter home. Lily broke. She sobbed into his chest, 3 days of terror and grief pouring out of her. Mason held her through all of it. And somewhere in the city in a foster home, she'd never seen Emma cried for a mother who wasn't there. 3 days passed like 3 years. Lily didn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard Emma screaming for her. Every time she tried to swallow food, it turned to ash in her mouth. Mason stayed with her, never left her side. He slept on the couch in Sarah's apartment while Lily lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until she could hold her daughter again. Janet called every few hours with updates that weren't really updates. The emergency hearing was scheduled. The foster family was reputable. Emma was being well cared for. None of it mattered. Emma wasn't with her mother. That was all Lily could think about. On the 3rd morning, Janet arrived with news. The hearing is tomorrow at 2 p.m. She sat down across from Lily, her face carefully neutral. Judge Coleman is presiding again. The same judge who let them take Emma. She didn't have a choice. CPS followed protocol. Janet opened her briefcase. But now we have leverage. Derek's arrest changes everything. The federal charges are stacking up. Money laundering, drug trafficking, conspiracy to commit murder. He's looking at life without parole. What does that mean for custody? It means his petition is effectively dead. No judge will award custody to a man facing those charges. Janet pulled out a document. I've filed a motion for immediate reunification. With Derek out of the picture and the club members released, there's no reason to keep Emma in foster care. Hope flickered in Lily's chest. Small, fragile. You think she'll grant it? I think we have a strong case. Janet hesitated. But there's a complication. What complication? Rebecca Chen wants Mason to testify before a grand jury tomorrow morning, at the same time as your hearing. Lily's heart dropped. He can't be in 2 places at once. No, he can't. The words hung in the air. Mason's voice came from the doorway. Then I testify. Lily spun around. What? No. I need you at the hearing. The judge needs to see The judge needs to see that you have a support system. Mason walked into the room. His face was drawn but determined. Sarah will be there. Maria, Bear, half the club. You don't need me. Yes, I do. Lily. He crouched down in front of her. Rebecca's case against Derek depends on my testimony. If I don't show up, he might walk on some of the charges. He might get a deal. He might be out in 10 years instead of life. I don't care about Derek. I care about Emma. So do I. That's why I have to do this. Mason took her hands. If Derek gets out ever, he'll come for you. For Emma. For all of us. The only way to make sure that never happens is to bury him so deep in federal charges that he never sees daylight again. Lily's eyes stung with tears. What if the judge asks for you? What if she wants to question you about the club? Then Janet tells her I'm testifying in a federal case. Any judge worth her robe will understand. Mason squeezed her hands. You can do this. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Emma needs you to be strong one more time. Lily wanted to argue, wanted to beg him to stay, but she knew he was right. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Mason pressed his lips to her forehead. I'll be there as soon as I'm done, I promise. The morning of the hearing, Lily woke at 5 a.m. She showered, dressed in the same navy dress, applied makeup to hide the dark circles under her eyes, looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. You can do this. For Emma. For both of you. Sarah drove her to the courthouse. The ride was silent. There was nothing left to say. Janet met them on the steps. Mason just texted. He's at the federal building. The testimony is scheduled for 9 a.m. He should be done by noon. That's 2 hours before the hearing. He'll make it. Janet's voice was confident. Focus on what's in front of you. They walked inside. The courtroom was the same one. Same wood paneling, same fluorescent lights, same American flag. But everything else had changed. Derek's table was empty. His lawyers were gone. The plaintiff's side of the courtroom was a ghost town. The gallery, however, was packed. Bear sat in the front row wearing another suit. Maria beside him. Sarah. A dozen other club members and their wives. All of them there for Lily. And in the front row on the other side of the aisle sat a woman Lily had never seen before. She was in her 60s. Gray hair, kind eyes, professional clothes. Who is that? Lily whispered to Janet. The foster mother. Mrs. Delacroix. Janet's voice was tight. CPS brought her to testify about Emma's condition. Lily's stomach lurched. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet. Judge Coleman entered at exactly 2 p.m. All rise. Everyone stood. Be seated. The judge opened her folder. We're here today to address the emergency motion for reunification filed by the respondent Lily Dawson. Given the significant developments since our last hearing, I've decided to hear testimony from all relevant parties before making a decision. She looked at Janet. Ms. Morrison, you may call your first witness. Janet stood. I call Lily Dawson to the stand. Lily's legs shook as she walked to the witness box. The bailiff swore her in. She sat down and tried to remember how to breathe. Ms. Dawson. Janet's voice was calm, steady. Please tell the court what happened on the day your daughter was taken into custody. Lily took a breath, and she told them. Everything, the raid, the arrests, the social worker who appeared out of nowhere. The moment Emma was ripped from her arms, her voice broke when she described Emma's screams, the way she'd reached for her mother, the word mama echoing through the courthouse halls. And where is your daughter now? Janet asked gently. In foster care. Lily wiped her eyes. I haven't seen her in 3 days. I haven't been allowed to call. I don't even know if she's sleeping at night or if she's crying or if she... Her voice failed. Janet gave her a moment. Then, Ms. Dawson, tell the court about your living situation before Emma was removed. I was staying at the hellsangels clubhouse, in an apartment above the main building. Lily steadied herself. I know that sounds bad. I know what people think about motorcycle clubs. But those people saved my life. They took me in when I had nothing, fed me, protected me, helped me get a lawyer I couldn't afford. And is the clubhouse still your residence? No, it was sealed as part of the federal investigation. But I have other options now. Sarah Cole has offered me her guest room. Maria Santos has offered to help with childcare. Lily looked at the gallery. These people are my family. Not by blood, by choice. And they've shown me more love in the past few weeks than I've experienced in my entire life. Janet nodded. No further questions. The judge looked at the CPS attorney. Your witness. The attorney stood, young, nervous, clearly not prepared for a case that had become national news. Ms. Dawson, you say the Hells Angels protected you, but isn't it true that some of their members have criminal records? Yes. And isn't it true that the clubhouse has been linked to various illegal activities over the years? Linked, never proven. Lily's voice hardened. And isn't it also true that the man who tried to take my daughter is now facing life in federal prison for actual crimes, drug trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy to murder? Not rumors, not accusations, real charges with real evidence. The attorney blinked. I'm asking the questions unused here. Then ask better questions. Lily leaned forward. Ask me about my daughter. Ask me about the nights I stayed up with her when she had a fever. Ask me about the double shifts I worked so she'd never go hungry. Ask me about the hell I escaped to keep her safe. Ms. Dawson, my daughter was taken from me because I lived with people who looked scary. Not because I was a bad mother. Not because I neglected her. Because of how things looked. Lily's voice broke, but she kept going. I've spent my whole life being judged for things I couldn't control. Foster care, poverty, an abusive relationship. And every time I tried to do the right thing, the system punished me for it. The courtroom was silent. I'm not perfect, Lily continued. I've made mistakes, but my daughter knows she's loved. She knows she's safe, and she deserves to be with the one person who has never stopped fighting for her. The CPS attorney had nothing. No further questions, he mumbled. Judge Coleman called a 15-minute recess. Lily walked back to the defense table on shaking legs. You did great, Janet whispered. Really great. Is it enough? I think so, but there's still the foster mother's testimony. When the recess ended, the CPS attorney called Mrs. Delacroix to the stand. Lily watched the older woman walk to the witness box. Her heart pounded. Everything depended on what happened next. Mrs. Delacroix, the attorney began. You've been caring for Emma Dawson for the past 3 days. Can you describe her condition when she arrived? She was scared, crying, reaching for someone who wasn't there. Mrs. Delacroix's voice was soft. It took hours to calm her down. And how has she been since then? Difficult, not eating well, not sleeping well? Mrs. Delacroix paused. She cries for her mother constantly. Mama. Over and over. It's the only word she knows. Lily's heart shattered. In your professional opinion, is Emma Dawson in need of continued protective custody? Mrs. Delacroix was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that changed everything. No. The attorney's head snapped up. Excuse me. I've been a foster mother for 32 years. I've cared for hundreds of children. Babies who were truly abused. Toddlers who flinched at every touch. Kids who didn't know what love looked like. Mrs. Delacroix's eyes found Lily's. Emma is not one of those children. But the circumstances are that a mother who loves her daughter got caught in someone else's war. Mrs. Delacroix's voice strengthened. I've watched Emma these past 3 days. She's not traumatized by her mother. She's traumatized by being separated from her mother. Every time she cries, she's reaching for the woman who clearly loves her more than anything in this world. The attorney tried to interrupt, but Mrs. Delacroix kept going. I've seen the news. I know about the arrests. I know about the drug charges in the federal investigation. She looked at the judge. And I know that the only person in this whole mess who was trying to protect that baby was the woman sitting at that table. Judge Coleman leaned forward. Mrs. Delacroix, are you recommending reunification? I'm saying that if you don't give that baby back to her mother today, you'll be doing more harm than any motorcycle club ever could. The courtroom erupted. Lily couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at this stranger who had just changed everything. The judge called for order. Mr. Morrison, Mr. Patterson, do either of you have additional witnesses? Janet stood. Your Honor, I'd like to submit several character affidavits for the record. Written statements from community members, employers, and associates speaking to Ms. Dawson's character and fitness as a parent. Submitted. The judge looked at the CPS attorney, Whit Patterson. The young attorney shook his head. No further witnesses, Your Honor. Then I'm ready to rule. Judge Coleman removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. This case has been one of the most unusual I've seen in 30 years on the bench. What started as a custody dispute has become a federal investigation involving drug trafficking, witness tampering, and allegations of coercion. She looked at Lily. Ms. Dawson, I owe you an apology. When this hearing began, I had concerns about your living situation. The Hells Angels have a certain reputation, and I allowed that reputation to color my judgment. Lily held her breath. But reputations aren't always accurate. I've heard testimony today from people who clearly care about you and your daughter. People who've shown more family values than many blood relatives I've seen in this courtroom. The judge picked up her gavel. It is the ruling of this court that the minor child, Emma Dawson, be immediately returned to her mother, Lily Dawson. All temporary custody orders are hereby vacated. This case is dismissed. The gavel fell. Lily collapsed. Janet caught her before she hit the floor. Maria and Sarah rushed forward. Bear was shouting something. People were crying, hugging, celebrating. But Lily could only think one thing. Emma's coming home. They brought Emma from the foster home 2 hours later. Lily waited on the courthouse steps surrounded by her new family. Mason had texted that he was on his way. The testimony had gone well. Derek was done, but none of that mattered. Only this moment mattered. A car pulled up. A social worker got out. And there in her arms was Emma. The baby's head was turned away. She was quiet, too quiet for a child who usually never stopped moving. Then she saw Lily. Mama. The word was a whisper, a prayer, a question. I'm here, baby. Lily's voice broke. Mama's right here. Emma's face crumpled. She reached out with both arms, straining toward her mother with everything she had. Lily ran. She took Emma from the social worker and held her so tight she was afraid she might break her. The baby clung to her neck, sobbing, shaking, saying, Mama, 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 over and over, like she was afraid to stop. I'm here, Lily sobbed. I'm here. I'm never letting you go again. Never. They stood there for what felt like hours, mother and daughter, reunited. The others kept their distance. Let them have this moment. Finally, Emma's sobs quieted. She pulled back and looked at Lily's face, her tiny hand touching her mother's cheek as if to make sure she was real. Mama. That's right, sweet girl. Mama's here. Emma smiled, and Lily finally let herself believe it was over. Mason arrived 20 minutes later. He changed out of his suit somewhere along the way, back in leather, back to himself, but his eyes were wet when he saw Emma in Lily's arms. Hey, little one. He reached out and let Emma grab his finger. I missed you. Emma gurgled and reached for his beard. Mason laughed, the first real laugh Lily had heard from him since this whole nightmare began. The testimony went well, Janet asked. Better than well. Mason's face hardened with satisfaction. Derek is finished. Rebecca's got enough to put him away for 3 consecutive life sentences. He'll never see the outside of a prison cell again. And Delgado. Arrested this morning, the feds raided his warehouse and found enough to connect him to 6 open cases. Mason shook his head. He's done too. Lily felt something loosen in her chest, something that had been coiled tight for months. It's really over. It's really over. Mason put his hand on her shoulder. You're safe, both of you. The group made their way back to Sarah's apartment. Someone ordered pizza. Someone else brought beer. The living room filled with people and noise and laughter. Lily sat on the couch with Emma in her lap watching it all. Maria was telling a story about Bear's attempt to learn to cook. Bear was defending himself loudly and badly. Sarah was laughing harder than Lily had ever seen her laugh. Other club members drifted in and out, all of them stopping to check on Lily, to admire Emma, to offer help. This is family, Lily thought. This is what it's supposed to feel like. Mason sat down next to her. You okay? I don't know. Lily looked at him. I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for someone to show up and take it all away. Nothing's going to go wrong. You can't know that. No, but I can promise you that whatever happens, You won't face it alone. Mason's eyes were steady. You're one of us now, for good, forever. Emma yawned and snuggled closer to Lily's chest. She's tired, Lily said softly. She's home. Mason reached over and stroked Emma's hair. That's all that matters. The party wound down around midnight. One by one, people said their goodbyes. Bear and Maria promised to stop by tomorrow. The other club members offered rides, help, anything Lily needed. Finally, only Mason and Sarah were left. Sarah came to sit beside Lily on the couch. Emma was asleep in her arms, finally peaceful. She's beautiful, Sarah said. She looks like you. Thank you for everything, for letting us stay here, for testifying, for all of it. I didn't do much. You showed up. That's everything. Lily looked at her. When Rachel died, did you ever think you'd find peace again? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. No, she finally said. I thought the pain would kill me. Some days I wished it would. She glanced at Mason, who was cleaning up pizza boxes in the kitchen. But then I saw what Mason was doing, how he was trying to find meaning in his grief. And I realized I had a choice. I could let Rachel's death destroy me, or I could let it change me into someone who helps others. Like you helped us. Like Rachel would have wanted me to. Sarah's eyes glistened. My daughter was kind, generous. She saw the best in everyone. When I saw you saw what you were going through, I knew she'd want me to help. I wish I could have known her. She would have loved you, and she would have adored Emma. Sarah reached out and touched the sleeping baby's cheek. You're giving Mason something I couldn't. A reason to live, a reason to be the man he always wanted to be. I think he's always been that man. He just couldn't see it. Maybe, Sarah stood up, get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day. She kissed Lily's forehead and went to her room. Mason came in from the kitchen. She's right, you know, about getting rest. I know, Lily looked up at him, but I don't want to sleep. I'm afraid I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. Mason sat down on the coffee table across from her. It's not a dream. I know, but Lily's voice wavered. 3 days ago, I had nothing. I was nobody, just a broke single mother counting coins in a pharmacy. And now I have all of this. Family, friends, a future. You always had that. Mason leaned forward. You just didn't know it yet. Because of you. Because you stopped to help a stranger. Because you were worth helping. His voice was rough. From the moment I saw you in that pharmacy, I knew. I don't know how. I just knew that you were special. That Emma was special. That both of you were meant to be when in my life. Mason, I'm not saying this right. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm not good with words. Never have been. But I need you to know that these past few weeks, they've meant something to me. Something I haven't felt in a long time. What hope? His eyes met hers. You gave me hope, Lily, when I thought I'd never feel anything again. When I thought the only thing left for me was riding toward oblivion. Lily's heart ached. You saved me too, she whispered. You know that, right? That night in the pharmacy, I was at the end of my rope. I was thinking about things I shouldn't have been thinking about. And then you walked in. I'm glad I did. So am I. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Mason stood. Get some sleep. I'll be on the couch if you need anything. Mason, he stopped. Thank you for everything, for not giving up on us. He looked at her, at Emma sleeping in her arms, at the life they'd built together in the ruins of their pain. I could never give up on you, he said quietly. Either of you. Then he walked away, and Lily finally let herself close her eyes. 6 months later, the apartment above the clubhouse had been renovated, new paint, new furniture, a proper crib for Emma in the corner, pictures on the walls of everything they'd been through together. Lily stood at the window watching the parking lot fill up with motorcycles. Sunday dinner at the clubhouse had become a tradition. Every week the whole family gathered. Food, laughter, stories, home. Mama, Emma toddled over, arms up, demanding to be held. At 17 months, she was walking everywhere into everything, chattering constantly in a language only she understood. Iron, iron, she shouted, pointing at the window. Lily looked. Mason's Harley was pulling in. That's right, baby. Iron's here. They went downstairs together. The main room was already crowded. Maria was setting out food. Bear was arguing with someone about football. Sarah was showing another member's wife pictures on her phone. Mason walked in and Emma squealed. Iron. He scooped her up, swinging her high enough to make her giggle. Hey, princess, were you good for mama? She's never good, Lily said, smiling. She takes after you. That's my girl. Mason kissed Emma's forehead, then looked at Lily. You look happy. I am happy. She stepped closer. For the first time in my life, I think I'm actually happy. Good. His free arm slipped around her waist. You deserve it. They stood there for a moment, watching their family move around them. The family they'd built from broken pieces and second chances. Bear noticed them and raised his beer. Get over here. Dinner's getting cold. They joined the table. Emma went to Maria, who spoiled her shamelessly. Mason sat next to Lily, close enough that their shoulders touched. Grace was said. Food was passed. Stories were told. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Lily realized she'd stopped waiting for something to go wrong. This was her life now. This was her family. After dinner, Mason pulled her aside. I have something for you. What? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Lily's heart stopped. Mason, is that? It's not what you think. He opened it. Inside was a necklace, a small silver pendant shaped like an angel wing. It was Rachel's, Mason said quietly. I gave it to her on her 18th birthday. Sarah found it when she was going through some boxes. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I can't accept this. Yes, you can. Mason took it out and fastened it around her neck. Rachel would have wanted you to have it. She would have loved you, Lily. Just like I do. Lily's breath caught. What did you say? Mason's face was open, vulnerable, more exposed than she'd ever seen him. I love you, he said. I've loved you since the moment I saw you counting coins in that pharmacy. I love your strength, your stubbornness, the way you fight for your daughter with everything you have. Mason, you don't have to say it back. I know it's complicated. I know I'm older. I know I've got more baggage than any one person should have. But I needed you to know, whatever happens, whatever you decide, I will always. Lily kissed him. It wasn't planned. Wasn't perfect. Just sudden and real and everything she'd been afraid to want. When she pulled back, Mason looked stunned. I love you too, she said. I didn't think I'd ever be able to say that to anyone. But I love you. I love our weird, broken, beautiful family. And I love the life we're building together. Mason's face broke into a smile, the first truly joyful smile she'd ever seen from him. Yeah, he kissed her again. Somewhere behind them, Bear whooped. Maria started clapping. Emma shrieked with delight, even though she had no idea what was happening. And Lily laughed against Mason's lips. This was her family. This was her home. This was the life she'd never dared to dream about. That night, after Emma was asleep, Lily stood at the window of their apartment and looked out at the city. So much had changed since that night in the pharmacy. She'd walked in with 1467 and walked out with something money could never buy. A father figure who'd found redemption in protecting her. A community that had opened their hearts without hesitation. A love that had grown from the most unlikely soil. Mason came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? Everything? Nothing. She leaned back against his chest. How different things could have been. How lucky we are that they turned out this way. It wasn't luck. His voice was soft. It was you, your strength, your courage. You made this happen, Lily, all of it. I had help. Everyone needs help. He pressed his lips to her hair. The trick is learning to accept it. They stood there together, watching the city lights flicker in the darkness. Mason, yeah. Thank you for seeing me that night, for stopping, for not walking away. I could never walk away from you. He turned her around to face him. You're my family now, you and Emma, and family doesn't walk away. Lily reached up and touched the angel wing pendant at her throat. Family, she repeated. Family yen, Mason confirmed. And standing there in his arms, surrounded by the rumble of motorcycles and the laughter of people who loved her, Lily Dawson finally understood what that word meant. Not blood, not obligation, choice, love, forever.